Chevron just won a major victory that could make it much harder for states to hold big corporations accountable in their own courts. The Supreme Court ruled that the oil company can move a Louisiana environmental lawsuit to federal court by claiming a connection to work it did for the U.S. military during World War II. The decision was lopsided. 8 justices agreed Chevron should win. It opens a door for other corporations to use similar arguments to escape state courts. Historically, juries and judges of state courts have been more sympathetic to environmental and injury claims.